Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mad Hatter Show, where we talk about anything and everything under the sun. We can talk about social events, political events. We can talk about what I have had for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, if that's what we want to discuss. We can talk about the occasional ghost story, which is what we're going to be talking somewhat about, at least tonight. Tonight's episode features stories about orbs. Orbs, floating balls of light. I'm not talking about the ones that are often used to try to prove the existence of ghosts or other creatures, these little camera flashes and specks of dust that are often called or illuminated by infrared cameras. No, I'm talking about something different than that. I want you to imagine for a moment that you're walking alone, in the middle of nowhere, far from civilization. Suddenly, in the distance, you spot a faint light. It might be small at first, but then it begins to move. You try to convince yourself that it's just your eyes playing tricks on you, but something tells you to watch a little closer. Something in your gut whispers that it's not your imagination. And then you realize it's not just one light, it's a presence, and it's not alone. The Louisiana swamps are a place steeped in mystery and death. But it's not just the murky waters and tangled vines that make these woods so terrifying. It's the lights, the strange glowing orbs that hover over the water's edge at night. Local legend tells of the Jack-o'-lantern lights, perhaps spirits of long-dead souls who wander the swamps, forever lost. And this is exactly what 24-year-old Maria Parker experienced one summer night in 2018. She was walking back to the cabin when she saw it. Just a faint glow at first. She thought it was someone's lantern, but it was too high up. It started drifting like it was floating. It wasn't a firefly. It was far too big. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, it darted off. Another one, and then another. Soon there were 4 of them moving in sync, like they were trying to tell her something. Maria followed the lights, but as she approached them, they vanished, one by one. Was it the restless spirits of the swamp, trapped in eternal limbo? Or something far darker, perhaps something that was feeding on her fear? This next story is called the Brown Mountain Lights. In the heart of North Carolina, on Brown Mountain, there is a strange phenomenon that locals have witnessed for centuries. Glowing orbs that appear out of nowhere, drifting over the mountain in the dead of night. No one knows exactly what they are, but people who have seen them will never forget them. One witness said that they were driving along late one night, heading home, when they saw them, just these little dots glowing in the distance. At first, he thought it was just a headlight, but the lights moved in a way that didn't make sense. They danced. He had never seen anything like it. And they were silent. No sound at all. They pulled over, but as soon as they stepped from the car, the lights disappeared. Some believe the lights are the spirits of Native American women searching for their lost loved ones. Others say they are the result of an ancient curse. But whatever the truth, the lights are never alone, and they are never still. Cemeteries have long been known for being places where the living and the dead come dangerously close. But one cemetery in New Orleans has its own story. A series of strange floating lights have been seen hovering over the tombs. Some say these are the restless souls of those buried there, looking for peace. But for Anna, the truth was much darker. Anna was visiting her grandmother's grave. It was quiet, but then she saw it. These lights just hovering above the stones. They didn't move like fireflies. It was as if they were alive and watching her. She turned to leave, but the lights followed her, getting closer, that is, until She ran out the gates. She's never been back since. Were these orbs the spirits of the deceased, bound to the earth, in a tortured existence perhaps? Or were they something far more malevolent, seeking to drag the living into their dark embrace? Deep in the Amazon rainforest, the native tribes speak of strange orbs that hover over the river. Spirits of the water, they say, calling to the souls of the living, inviting them to join the dead. Tom Rivers says he was just drifting along the river when it started. Tiny lights flickering at first, then growing brighter. They followed them for hours. Some were small, others massive. The biggest ones, they were shaped like human faces, glowing faintly in the darkness. It felt like they were being watched by something ancient. Could these be the spirits of the river, or something darker, luring explorers to their doom? In March of 2021, I found myself in the rural hills of Arkansas, starting a new chapter of life. The days blurred together, a steady rhythm of work and clearing the land that would soon become our future home. The air was crisp, and the weight of the tasks felt heavy, but the evenings brought a strange kind of peace, or so I thought. One evening, not long after the sun had dipped below the horizon, I sat alone by the campfire, watching the last remnants of the day's labors burn away. The crackling of the fire was the only sound, until something else caught my eye. It was subtle at first, just a flicker of movement through the trees, but it was enough to make me freeze. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, maybe a flash or reflection from the fire, but then I saw it clearly, a ball of light glowing softly, drifting along, silent between the trees. It wasn't a star or a plane, that much was obvious. No, this was something different. The light was too round, too smooth. It wasn't a drone. It was far too quiet and too low, and definitely not a helicopter. I racked my brain for something, anything that might explain it, but nothing fit. The ball of light moved with purpose, gliding gracefully as if it had a mind of its own, carefully weaving between the branches, dodging obstacles with a kind of awareness. It lasted maybe 10 to 15 seconds at most, but in those moments a chill crept through my spine. Was I seeing things? I briefly wondered if I needed an eye exam, or worse, a CAT scan. But then the moment was gone, and I decided to file it away, pushing it into the things I'll never speak of again file in my mind. But there were other plans. Less than a week later, I found myself again, seated by that same fire, burning limbs and brush from the day's work. My wife and daughter joined me, and the warmth of their presence lifted my spirits. We laughed and joked. We talked about the progress we had made, about what still lay ahead. It was a moment of joy, a glimpse of the future we were building. But then something changed. A look of confusion and then awe crossed their faces. They had seen something that I recognized immediately. That same glowing orb, like a ball of light, was drifting through the trees once again. This time, I wasn't alone. My wife and daughter saw it too. They watched in stunned silence as the orb moved with a kind of deliberate grace, gliding effortlessly through the branches, its soft glow illuminating the night. There was no mistaking it. This was the same phenomenon that I had witnessed just days before, the same strange and intelligent presence at work in the woods. We had no explanation, no answers, only the eerie certainty that we had just witnessed something beyond our understanding, something that defied all logic. It was as if the forest itself had secrets, things it wasn't ready to reveal, and I wasn't sure we were prepared to uncover them. So what are these lights? Are they spirits or elementals? maybe there's something darker, something more alien. We may never know. The people who have encountered these orbs, they've tried everything to explain them. They've searched for logical reasons like swamp gas or a reflection from the water. But every time they think they have an answer, the lights slip away. Always elusive and always otherworldly. Some researchers have suggested that the phenomenon could be caused by natural occurrences. Gas emitted from decaying matter causing bioluminescence. Perhaps it's some kind of electrical discharge, like ball lightning playing tricks on the eyes. But let's face it, if that's all it was, why would so many of these encounters seem so deliberate? The lights moving in patterns, seemingly aware of their observers. Could this be all just simple coincidence? Or could the lights be something more intelligent? Many believe these lights are spirits, restless souls trapped between worlds, trying to communicate with the living. In cultures around the globe, they have been seen as guides or tricksters, leading people astray or even claiming them for their own. Some say they are remnants of the dead, unable to rest, cursed to wander for eternity, unable to find peace. What if these lights aren't trying to communicate at all? What if they're predators, feeding on the living, drawing us closer until we fall under their control? Could they be waiting for us, watching perhaps, seeing who will venture too close to their territory? And when we do, what happens next? Could they be recruiting us to join them in the dark? To join the endless parade of wandering souls, forever lost in the night? Whatever they are, one thing is certain. If you ever see one of these lights in the distance, don't chase it. Don't follow it. Because sometimes curiosity doesn't only kill the cat. Sometimes it claims the soul. Thank you for joining us once again for tonight's episode of the Mad Hatter Show. If you've ever seen a floating orb or experienced something you couldn't explain, I want to hear from you. Share your story with us, and remember, the truth really is out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to be discovered. But be careful. Some truths, once known, can never be forgotten.